Hey everybody, welcome to Ticket Stubs and Popcorn. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing all right.
Alrighty, I'm Peter.
He's Peter. I'm Frank,
That's
as
Frank.
you may have gotten from the context of that little conversation we just had.
Just checking on Frank's welfare.
It's Peter and Frank, and we're both fine right now. So we're doing well. So I hope you are as well. Those of you watching and listening and
In the whole Ticket
in the
Stubs and
whole
Popcorn
Ticket Stubs and
universe.
Popcorn world. Hey, nice shirt.
Yeah, your shirt.
Thanks. I bought it at our little merch store. Hint, hint. We don't try to go for the hard sell here at Ticket Stubs and Popcorn because just listening to us is work enough, I'm sure. So,
Good point.
yeah. Today's actor.
We have a director today.
We have a director spotlight today.
Director spotlight, and that director is Rob Reiner.
Rob Reiner, that meathead. So you think he's probably sick of that by now because it's been 50 years. Probably.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Who knows?
Before we talk about Bobby Reiner, you think anybody calls him Bob?
I don't think anybody calls
Probably
him.
not. Maybe his sister. Well,
Maybe
not
Robbie,
anymore.
but I don't know.
Anyway,
But,
so Rob Reiner. This made me think of a question. What happened to romantic comedies?
Oh, the good
Every
old
year
rom-com.
you can have a good
It's a good
couple of
staple.
romantic comedies. Yeah, you're just like, oh, this one's gonna come up, and you're just like, oh, all right, you get a couple of. I mean,
Okay,
comic
yeah.
book movies have dominated the landscape,
or
where you
landscaping if you're in that
landscaping,
business.
yeah.
I guess.
for the landscape. This is tough. I didn't really look at the script very much before I came on here. Believe it or not, we script all these shows.
And we can't even blame Corky because he's not even
We
here.
fired Corky a while ago.
Yeah.
So there's that. He's still in the front of the house crying in his car. His mother won't
In
come
his
in.
mother's car
His
because he
mother's car.
still doesn't drive.
So
27 years old and he does. Anyway, that's beside the point.
That is beside the point. So
We got Rob Reiner.
what happened?
and
What happened to romantic comedies? Let's
Okay.
seriously. Let's talk
All
about.
right,
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But let's. I'm going to start with Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite rom-com, which happens to be from Rob Reiner, When Harry Met Sally. It is the perfect romantic comedy. Fight me on this. Fight me on this. It is the perfect. It is so good. It's funny. It's so well written. It's so well directed. It's so well acted. It hits every single little thing that it's supposed to hit. And it is ridiculously rewatchable.
It's durable.
It really is. That movie's like 33 years
I don't
old
know,
now.
but it's
33, 34, it was 89,
definitely up
88,
there.
89. So
35
it is,
almost.
man, it is so good. So it's just so funny. He lets his actors just kind of go. There's one scene where they're in the, I believe they're in a museum, Harry and Sally are, and they're doing like funny little voices.
Yeah.
And if you watch the movie, and he's like Billy Crystal starts doing this thing about like pecan pie or something like that. There's a thing where like Meg Ryan kind of laughs and looks off to the side because it was unscripted.
Yeah.
And she's looking off to the side to Rob Reiner like,
But
what should I do?
Yeah.
You know? And it's the little thing, knowing that little thing makes that scene so much more fun.
It adds a whole other layer.
It adds a whole other layer
Yeah.
because she's just like looking off to the side
Like,
and looking like and just keep going with it. And he kept it in. And that's one of those things where like a great director is going to be able to just like, just let them go. He's got, he's got the reins pulled or controlled just perfectly for these guys to do this. And it's, oh God, it's so perfect. There's absolutely no way that you've made it this far without having seen that movie. And if you have, what the hell is wrong with you? Watch that movie. And it's got a fantastic soundtrack. If it's a love letter to New York, if ever there was one,
it's
so
got a great little supporting cast too.
Carrie Fisher, Bruno Kirby.
Yeah, that's
man.
just that's a good little.
Yeah. Rob Reiner's mother is in it.
Yep, Estelle.
She says one of the funniest lines in Hollywood, which I really wish I had thought about this. I'd find out like where if it ends up on one of those lists of funniest movie lines.
I would have to.
I would
assume
think it
is,
would, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you what it is because if you don't know, you know. But if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you.
Watch it again and you'll figure it out.
Or watch it once and you'll see. So, that's my first one.
Yeah.
My next one, of course, is going to be Princess Bride because that's another romantic comedy in a way, but it is just so, man, I remember hearing about this movie. I had been to the movies with a buddy of mine, this guy Sean, and so we're talking about movies, and he said, I saw this, the funniest movie. He goes, these two guys, it was pretty funny. These two guys are sword fighting, and it's just like, one's got the other kind of like, back up against the wall kind of thing. And he says, oh, hey, I lied to you. I am not left-handed. And he throws the sword into his other hand. He keeps going. I'm like, all right, this sounds pretty funny. I want to see this.
That's enough to get me there.
That's enough to get me there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
This movie kills me. I love this movie so much. 99.9% of the time, at the end, when the grandfather says to the kid, as you wish, cries. Oh my God, such a cast. You got Billy Crystal, Carol Kane, Carrie Elwes, Robin Wright. You've got, oh my God, there's so many great people in this. Wallace Shawn.
Everything works.
Fred Savage is
so
in
many
it. Peter
levels.
Sellers. It's so good.
Peter Falk.
Peter Falk, I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Peter Sellers, where did that
Yeah, exactly. But he could have been in there.
He could have been in there. Who knows? Andre the Giant. Like
it's
Mandy
Works.
Patinkin.
It's everything.
Yeah, it really is. It's so good. And again, it's one of these things that could have been a total disaster if in the wrong hands. It could have been too much of an action movie, or too much of a farce, or too much of a romantic movie. And it's just the perfect combination of all those things. It's funny and it's sweet, and it'll make you laugh. It'll cry. It's kind of a kissing book, but again, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about.
If you haven't seen this movie, if you've been living under a rock, what is wrong?
So it just it's so good. It's ridiculously quotable.
You got it.
It's fantastic. When I lived in Germany and worked for this little hotel kind of thing, a bunch of us with the staff. That was one of the video cassettes. That's how old I am. We would rewatch over and over. We watched that movie like all the time. So good, such a great movie. My next one, I got to tell you, I'm usually able to pick one or the other when I'm stuck at my third and fourth.
I had a hard time with this.
I am genuinely stuck between Stand By Me and The Sure Thing.
Okay.
And I legitimately, all right, gun to head, have to choose.
Let's go.
Then I would have to be, I gotta go Sure Thing.
Okay.
I got it because it's got one of the best. I gotta go Stand By Me. Nostalgia wins out, because when you're 12 years old, friends you have when you're 12 years old. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's a great ad. It's hard to believe it's a Stephen King story unless you really think about it. It's like, it makes sense that it's a Stephen King story. It's a bunch of kids going to see a dead body.
It's about a cadaver, right? They're going to see a corpse somewhere.
But it is, it's such a great movie. And Sure Thing is also a great movie. Tough. There's a lot of great stuff in that. But yeah, I'll go. I will go with Stand By Me. It's got nostalgia. It's got a killer soundtrack. Mm-hmm. The performances he got out of those kids was fantastic.
Yes,
and just to make it a really touching bit of nostalgia, just fantastic.
Yeah.
To have a director be able to take that content and this some of it is a little. I don't want to say scary, but it's heightened.
Sure, and it's
the bullies are pretty bullying.
It's difficult for a director, I think, for most directors to direct young actors, and that usually happens when there's one young actor. But in this case, there's a bunch.
Yeah, there's
he's
a
directing.
Bunch.
And he does it well.
He really does. The other great example I would call out as someone who's great at directing kids would be Chris Columbus when he did like the the early Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah,
So,
you're right. You're right.
So, but yeah, Stand by Me. It's just a sweet little movie, and it reminds you about when you were, 12, 13 years old, and you got into little adventures, and you did those
and it
stuff
seems like it's going to be exciting. Starts off like it's a good idea,
and then
stuff happens. Stuff gets a little out of hand. You're in over your head.
Yeah, but it also there are it's moments in there that you remember, and that to a certain extent are defining moments because you're at that age when things like you're changing.
Exactly.
And I think that Rob Reiner brings that out, and without it being like schmaltzy or over the top or anything like that,
correct.
or over dramatic. He does sort of like, if you want to know what it's like to be like a 13-year-old boy, it's just like that's kind of like that's a great it's a great place to start, or I thought it was a great portrayal of that time in a young man's life.
Those are some good picks.
Yeah, so what do you got?
I got to tell you, I can tell you right off the top, I've got 3 which did not make my list, and it's upsetting that you go, well, because I left off when Harry Met Sally, Misery, and Stand By Me, and those could have been any 3 picks for anybody. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really, it's just like, I can't believe this, but these.
So what do you got?
So what do I got? We got Rob Reiner, who made a wonderful transition. Well, he was in a Hollywood family, and a funny and a humorous Hollywood family, and surrounded most of his life with other humorous people. And he makes this transition, kind of like Ron Howard makes this transition from TV, a sitcom, to something else, something so much more than you ever would have even imagined. But anyway, my first pick is we overlap on Princess Bride.
It's almost a perfect movie.
I was going to say, that's about as close to a perfect movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It also is one of my wife's all-time favorite movies. And love that movie. And that's a movie I can watch anytime. Love it. The fact that he can direct this movie, which is essentially a story within a story, and that part works. Everything works. It's funny. There's some tongue-in-cheek stuff. It doesn't go too far, and it easily could in a weird way. Or
because it touches on all those tropes.
Yeah,
it touches on all of them, but it doesn't beat them up.
Exactly. It pays perfect homage to stuff and still keeps it fresh and exciting and funny. And I remember years ago, I worked at a VHS rental store back in the day. Dates that, but there was like a second job. It was like a second job, and I was doing that in the evening. And I remember I was doing that in the evenings, but also like on like Saturdays, I guess. So I remember one day it was a Saturday, and this woman came running in the store. The weather had changed completely. It just got very dark out. It's early in the day, like, 11 o'clock, and it's ready to pour. The weather just changed really fast. And she comes in the store and she goes, "I need a movie." And I was like, "Okay." And she goes, "I got my son's birthday party planned. It's gonna rain." And she said, "I need a movie. Nice. I've got 8 or however many, like 8-year-old boys. I need a movie." And I said, "Hang on.
Yeah.
Here's your movie. And I gave her Princess Bride. And she looked at me and she said, it says it's a love story or fantasy love, whatever it says on the thing. And I said, trust me, it's a word. She goes, no, these are boys. They're all boys. There's only boys. And I said, this is going to work for you.
Yeah.
And she goes, are you sure? I said, you know, I'm in no position to spend money at this point in my life. I said, if you're not happy, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I will pay you what you just rented this movie. If you are really, and she said, really? And I said, that's how much confidence I have in this movie. Not in me, in the movie. And she said, okay. Came back, the next day. They sat still and shut their mouths for 2 full hours. I said, I know it. Incredible, isn't it? And she was like, that was like a magic wand. I just, she said, I just waved over them and it worked. And I said, unbelievable. And another time, still working at that same store, kind of a similar thing, but I think it was like a sleepover with girls. A mother came in. She said, I need just something as a backup. She said, I just need a little something in case they get bored. What you got for a movie? And like I said, the movie, at this point, the movie had been out, but nobody watched it the first time at the theater. And it was now released on VHS. So, and so I said, oh, here you go. And she goes, oh, it's kind of like a weird fantasy thing with sword play. And I said, no, don't worry, just watch it. And she goes, I don't know about this one. I said, same thing, same thing, trust me. And same thing. She came back, she goes, my God, we ended up watching that movie. And I just stayed in the same room with them. I couldn't leave the room. Yeah. And I was like, I know it's magical. This movie really works magic too. Really it's so I love that movie. As close to a perfect movie. Yeah. Right. Okay. What else? So we got one of my other favorite movies, which I do consider one of the funniest movie I've ever seen. Is This Is Spinal Tap. He takes this ridiculous excuse for a band, and he's able to like make these characters in a weird, warm, accessible way because he uses the interview behind the scenes technique, and that was fairly new. It really hadn't been tapped into, and got the cast is great, but then he sprinkles in little, smaller roles to kind of keep the interview process and to keep the scenes going. That is wonderful, and that is not just good casting and good acting. That really shows what the director is doing. That's just incredible. He's moving like it's a chessboard almost, and you can see he's moving these pieces in a way that is going to propel the movie forward. And I can't say enough about that movie either. If you had one of these movies as a director, you'd say, I think I've made a huge accomplishment. He's got a few of these. But This Is Spinal Tap. Funny movie. Silly situations, behind the scenes stuff, but I love it. I just love it. Can't get enough. That's another one I could watch that many times over. And I'm gonna jump to the third movie. So different, so vastly different than my first two picks. A Few Good Men. Yeah. This is a wonderful, tremendous law procedure, courtroom drama, in every sense of the word, courtroom drama. Yeah,
Aaron Sorkin wrote that.
Aaron Sorkin wrote this.
Big fan of him.
And it's got, the background being a military thing. So yeah, it's a military story, but it's all in the league. It's the JAG department, so it's all, the justice side of it. It's courtroom drama, and once again, I think at this point in his career, Tom Cruise could have maybe taken that character a little differently, a little cocky, like as if he's a jet pilot again. You know what I mean? And no, he's it's not. And I think that's the director saying, no, let's work this angle, and kind of go not so confident, and then like have it, because he's never been in a courtroom.
Yeah, I think
he's I mean, his character has never been in the courtroom at that point in his life.
That's one of those things where the character is sort of like would be cocky for much longer until you see that he's actually got skills.
Yeah.
This is, I think, sooner in this movie, it's just like, oh, okay, he is pretty competent, so you don't have to deal with his overestimation of himself for very long. Yeah. And you're allowed to like sort of trust him and enjoy the story more instead of just dealing with his personality.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't rest on his, cocksureness. Before the story, lets you trust him. You trust this character. That's all the director decided.
I agree.
How
I
to
agree.
Engage
and
that. And that, I think, is really, really well
you
done.
also have a director like Rob Reiner, who you in that movie, and A Few Good Men, you've got a younger cast as part of it, and that would be like Kiefer Sutherland, Cuba Gooding, Demi Moore, Kevin Bacon. Like a few of those guys are younger, so you get that one.
Kevin Bacon,
but then you get but then you get Demi Moore, who's very good in this movie, and then you get the Tom Cruise character. I love Kevin Pollak in this movie. He's very good in this movie, and then of course you get the old pro. You get Jack Nicholson, and here's Rob Reiner, and he's doing what he needs to do, and he's doing it all with all these different personalities, and he gets a lot out of everybody.
You gotta wonder if there's and there has to be a moment where Rob Reiner's at home. And the next day is the day that he needs to direct Jack Nicholson in this big badass scene that we've all seen. All right? And you think that he's just even for a split second, oh my God!
Baby.
Okay, all right. Calm.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do
breathe,
this.
Rob,
You
breathe.
can do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
I get
just there has to
you're in the director chair, and you got that scene. There's a famous scene where Tom Cruise is going at him. He's in the witness stand. He's up there, and he barks back. You can't handle the truth. So can you just imagine being the director? Cut, Jack, let's try that again.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that one where you have this intensity?
Where you have
Tom Cruise in his face, and Jack Nicholson barking him right back down. And just saying, you can't help, and then just go, cut. Let's try that. I would love to see that.
Well, the thing is, though,
I'm not saying it ever did happen, but I would love that.
Because actors get so much of the exposure. We see their performances, and we love that and all of that. But I think that what happens is we forget sometimes, that there's a director who's moving that scene along, who's shaping that scene, who's saying, you know what, I want the emphasis to be here. And then, because this is where my soft spot
don't is. Pause.
Right.
You come right in.
And this is where my soft spot as a writer is all right, somebody put those words into his mouth. So when someone's just all right, Jack Nicholson has got this badass thing going on, it's just and there's a writer who put the words in there, and there's a director who kind of gave him some guidance on how to say those things, and all the things that go into making that iconic thing. So, and then the director's making all these decisions as to how this is going to happen.
Yeah, lighting. Where's that camera going to really be?
It's it's such a collaborative effort.
I love Rob Reiner is those. Like I said, I left 3 on the floor.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe that those 3 didn't make my top 3, but it just didn't. I don't know what to say.
And it's funny, and he directed another Aaron Sorkin one, American President.
Yes.
which is so
which is
so much lighter and much more fun and all that. So and with
this-
another old pro, Michael Douglas, you know. So
it's great.
he's so great.
Yeah, I can't say enough. Those are all, and you know, whatever. Well, 50 years ago, I guess now, when you saw him as an actor on a sitcom, and he played, you know, Mike Stivic or Michael Stivic, Meathead,
Yeah.
and when you think, oh, he might not want to do this for the rest of his life. I wonder how,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then he gets into directing, which is his father had done a little before. But you say to yourself, would you ever expect, though,
Yeah.
some of the stuff to come out that we know he's done? It's already happened. Would you ever expect it, like somebody from a sitcom to be this?
Would you look at American Graffiti and 50 years later be like, oh wow, you know, you never ever know.
No. So
would you look at 1941 and think, yeah, this guy's going to continue to have a career, right?
I like that movie. I really do.
I know that's why I like the shit.
But I mean, it's not high art, but I like it.
I know, because you can just throw Three Stooges back at me, and I love that movie. Anyway, so romantic comedies.
Oh yeah.
So they used to be, you could get 2 or 3 every year. You know, like you don't see them as much.
No, anymore. And just like any other genre, there are good ones and there are bad ones. Yeah, but you're right. We haven't seen. We haven't even seen bad ones. We haven't seen one in a little bit.
There are some that have shown up, and maybe this is just the nature of the biz right now. Is that they're released on streaming services.
Or
you know, so
maybe
that's it. But have you seen like commercials? I mean, I pay attention. You pay attention. You don't see like theatrical release for a romantic comedy lately. Yeah. And they're tough to do because they need to have the chemistry and the writing. And blah blah blah.
The movie that I've seen fairly I have seen it recently. It kind of a rom-com, but it's not exactly. Is Licorice Pizza, but that's not quite rom-com. There is that element in it, but it's more.
No, I don't.
At least from the male side, a coming of age.
No, there's a formula.
No, I mean, like that's about as close, and it really isn't one.
That might be a story that has romantic elements and happens to be funny.
Yeah.
But that's not a rom-com.
No. It doesn't have the right tropes and the whole thing.
So, and it's crazy because it's one of those genres that for so long has been such a thing where you know who the players are. You know, like you're going into this movie already knowing that they're going to end up together. You know that, like, halfway through the movie, there's going to be a misunderstanding and that they have to get their act back together. And, we've seen it a million times. And they all, some work better than others. None work better than, when Harry met Sally.
You have to wonder, too, are some of the go-to performers, are they aging out?
They may be.
I don't know. And then, they haven't bothered trying to find new ones? You got your Meg Ryans, you got your Hugh Grant, you got some of these people, and you just don't
see them
anymore. I don't
anymore. Or, like I said, you see something maybe on streaming, or maybe they'll just oh, you know what? This is a romantic comedy script, but you know what? Let's tweak it a little bit, and we'll throw it in that, 26 Days of Christmas Hallmark.
Well,
kind of thing.
that is there is the rom-com twisted a little bit with Love Actually. The fact that there's a bunch of little rom-coms in it, and it is set, we'll say holiday season or so. But
I think that those Hallmark movies that
those
are all, that's like a month worth of mediocre to bad.
Very mediocre,
to bad, rom-coms. But you just I don't know. They just don't.
I don't know where they've gone to. And we've talked, I think, in the past, one of our questions was, is there a genre, or maybe more than one genre, that's going away or we'll never see? And I think we kind of figured out that maybe like slapstick comedy might be the only one that's gone and probably not coming back. Maybe. But yeah, there is no good reason why rom-coms have gone away.
Yeah.
Or
Thoughts?
we haven't seen them.
Folks, what do you think? Do you have a
I don't know.
favorite rom-com? Let us know. What's out of the street bucket? It's an answer. It's a mystery. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't have an answer for that mystery.
But they're kind of fun.
Yeah. They certainly have their place. You know,
Yeah.
they really do.
Yeah, and
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
if you get the right,
I like
if you
that
get the right people, I mean,
They're delight.
they work. Yeah.
There are fun little
Damn
romps.
delight.
That's what they are.
All right. Well, folks, you've spent another half an hour just I don't know what you're doing while you're
Yeah,
doing
who
this.
knows?
So
Hopefully getting something done
hopefully,
productive with us in the background.
seriously. You're at the gym listening to the podcast. You're home trapped under something heavy, and someone put this on the YouTube. The YouTube.
The
Someone-
YouTube.
I
Oh,
did
you
that on
kids
purpose.
and the YouTube.
YouTube. So we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Take care.